Mauritius Unshackled, a class analysis of colonial rule and the people's struggle for independence. Hello, and welcome to Untold Africa, where we uncover the rich and often overlooked histories of the African continent and its islands. Today we set sail for the beautiful island nation of Mauritius, located in the Indian Ocean. Our journey will take us through the colonial history of Mauritius and its struggle for independence, viewed through the lens of class analysis. We will shine a spotlight on the pivotal roles played by women, youths, and ordinary people in shaping the destiny of this remarkable island. Chapter 1: The Colonial Era. Our story begins in the early 16th century when Portuguese explorers first discovered Mauritius. However, it was the Dutch who established the first permanent settlement in 1638. The Dutch introduced sugarcane and slaves to the island, laying the foundation for a plantation economy that would shape Mauritius's social and economic structure for centuries to come. In 1710, the French took control of the island, renaming it Île-de-France. Under French rule, the plantation economy expanded, and the island became a major producer of sugar. The sugar industry drove the colonial economy, with sugar production increasing from 4,000 tons in 1845 to 600,000 tons in 1965. The French also brought in a large number of African slaves to work on the plantations. 230,000 enslaved Africans were brought to Mauritius between 1638 and 1810. By the late 18th century, the slave population outnumbered the free population by a significant margin. The British captured the island in 1810 during the Napoleonic Wars, and it was formally ceded to Britain in the Treaty of Paris in 1814. Under British rule, the plantation economy continued to thrive, and the island's social structure remained largely unchanged. However, the abolition of slavery in 1835 led to a significant shift in the island's demographics. Plantation owners turned to India for a new source of labor, and between 1834 and 1921, nearly 500,000 indentured laborers were brought to Mauritius from India. Chapter 2: The Class Structure. The colonial period in Mauritius was marked by a rigid class structure. At the top of the hierarchy were the European plantation owners and colonial administrators who controlled the political and economic systems. Below them were the Franco-Mauritian sugar aristocracy, who owned the majority of the island's wealth and land. In the middle were the small planters, artisans, and shopkeepers, who were often of mixed race and owned small plots of land or businesses. At the bottom of the hierarchy were the indentured laborers and the descendants of African slaves, who worked on the plantations and lived in poverty. This class structure was reinforced by a system of racial and ethnic discrimination, with Europeans at the top and people of African and Indian descent at the bottom. However, despite these divisions, the various communities on the island lived side by side, and a unique Creole culture emerged, blending African, Indian, and European influences. Chapter 3: The Seeds of Resistance. Despite the oppressive conditions, the spirit of resistance was never far from the surface. In the early 20th century, various forms of resistance began to emerge. One notable example was the role of women in the labor movement. Women who worked alongside men in the sugarcane fields often led strikes and protests against poor working conditions and low wages. Youths also played a crucial role in the resistance. Many young people who had been exposed to anti-colonial ideas through education or contact with other independence movements became instrumental in organizing protests and spreading nationalist sentiments. Cultural groups and political organizations became hotbeds of anti-colonial activity, where young people could discuss and plan resistance strategies. Chapter 4: The Rise of Nationalism. The post-World War II era saw a surge in nationalist movements across the world, and Mauritius was no exception. In 1936, the Mauritius Labour Party, MLP, was founded by Dr. Maurice Curie, a man of African descent who had been inspired by the ideals of socialism and anti-colonialism. The MLP was committed to the principles of social justice, equality, and independence. The MLP's message resonated with the working class and the descendants of indentured laborers, who made up the majority of the island's population. The party's leadership included representatives from various ethnic and religious communities, reflecting the diverse nature of Mauritian society. In the 1948 general elections, the MLP won a landslide victory, marking a significant shift in the island's political landscape. The party's success was a testament to the growing nationalist sentiment and the desire for social and economic reform. Chapter 5. The Road to Independence. The 1950s and 1960s were a period of intense political activity and social change in Mauritius. The MLP, under the leadership of Sir Sivu Sagur Ramgoolam, continued to push for independence and social reform. The party's platform included universal suffrage, free education, and the nationalization of key industries. The struggle for independence was not without its challenges. The Franco-Mauritian elite, who controlled the majority of the island's wealth and land, were opposed to independence and used their economic and political power to resist change. However, the determination and resilience of the Mauritian people, particularly the working class, women, and youths, kept the flame of resistance alive. In 1965, the British government announced that it would grant independence to Mauritius. This decision was the result of years of political pressure and negotiation, as well as the changing international climate, which favored decolonization. On March 12, 1968, Mauritius finally gained its independence, with Sir Sivu Sagur Ramgoolam becoming the first Prime Minister of the newly independent nation. Chapter 6. The Role of Women. Women played a crucial role in the struggle for independence. They participated in various capacities, from organizing strikes and protests to providing logistical support and mobilizing communities. One notable figure was Angela Coupin, a trade unionist and political activist who fought tirelessly for workers' rights and social justice. Women's involvement in the labor movement and the struggle for independence challenged traditional gender roles and paved the way for greater gender equality in post-independence Mauritius. The MLP's commitment to women's rights was reflected in its policies, which aimed to promote women's education, health, and political participation. Chapter 7. The Role of Youths. Youths were another vital force in the struggle for independence. Many young people, inspired by the ideals of nationalism and social justice, joined political organizations and became active participants in the resistance. The MLP's youth wing, known as the Mauritius Labour Party Youth League, played a crucial role in mobilizing young people and organizing resistance activities. One notable example is the role of young people in the education system. The MLP's commitment to free and universal education opened up new opportunities for young people from working class backgrounds. Many of these young people went on to become leaders in the struggle for independence and social reform. Chapter 8. The Legacy of the Struggle. The struggle for independence left a lasting legacy in Mauritius. The principles of social justice, equality, and self-reliance that guided the MLP's struggle continue to inspire generations of Mauritian people. The active participation of women, youths, and ordinary people in the struggle challenged traditional hierarchies and paved the way for a more inclusive and equitable society. However, the post-independence period has not been without its challenges. Mauritius has faced political instability, economic difficulties, and social inequalities. Despite these challenges, the spirit of resistance and the commitment to social justice that characterized the struggle for independence continue to be a source of inspiration and hope. Chapter 9. Lessons for Today. The colonial history of Mauritius and its struggle for independence offer valuable lessons for today. The power of popular resistance, the importance of mobilizing the masses, and the need for a class-based analysis of oppression are all relevant to contemporary struggles for social justice and equality. The role of women and youths in the struggle for independence highlights the importance of inclusive and intersectional approaches to social change. The active participation of ordinary people in the struggle challenges the notion that history is made only by great leaders and elites. As we reflect on the history of Mauritius, let us be inspired by the resilience, determination, and commitment to justice of its people. Let us remember that the struggle for a more just and equitable world is a collective endeavor that requires the active participation of all oppressed classes. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the colonial history of Mauritius and its struggle for independence. We hope that this exploration has shed light on the often overlooked contributions of women, youths, and ordinary people in shaping the destiny of this remarkable island nation.